Me on set is Leela Jacinto. Hello, Leela.
Hi.
So, the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney was there in solidarity with the Ukrainians. U.S. envoy Keith Kellogg was also there. Is Independence Day relevant to Ukraine's allies then?
Very much so. 30 years, more than 30 years after Ukraine declared its independence from the Soviet Union, for Ukraine's allies, what is important to contemplate really are the events around Ukraine's independence, and also particularly another day on Ukraine's national calendar, which is very important, which is December 5th, 1994. That's the day that Ukraine surrendered the nuclear arsenals. These were Soviet nuclear arsenals, a vast array of them. They surrendered it in exchange for security guarantees from the US, UK, France, Russia, and China. And many would argue that those security guarantees, of course, have not been met. And which is why right now, where we stand at this particular moment in history, everyone's looking at the question of Ukraine's security guarantees. Leaders are being asked about it, analysts are talking about it, and in fact, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, who was in Kyiv today for the Independence Day, mentioned and discussed security guarantees. Let's take a listen to what he had to say about it.
Canada understands the lessons of history. We know that Putin can never be trusted. We know that true peace and security requires security guarantees for Ukraine.
As you said, Leela, everyone's looking at security guarantees for Ukraine. Mark Carney there, he also today in Ukraine didn't rule out the possibility of Canadian troops on the ground, Canadian boots on the ground. What kind of security guarantees, though, does the so-called coalition of the willing have in mind now?
Well, at this stage, it's a lot of talk about talk. But boots on the ground seems to be, when push comes to shove, that's what it's all about. Because, the legal definition of security guarantee is a collective defense obligation. And Ukraine has time and again been failed on this obligations. Its guarantors have failed to provide these obligations. Russia has tested it, and which is why, ultimately, it comes down to armed forces. If you have a peace, are you going to have boots on the ground to police that peace? Now, as you said, Mark Carney, did not rule out Canadian boots on the ground. The ultimate security guarantee, of course, would be for Ukraine to be a NATO member, which gives it Article 5 guarantees, which is an attack on one member is an attack on all. Of course, Russia has put that off the table, which is why Zelensky today said that any security guarantees have to be as close as possible to Article 5. For Zelensky, what he's really looking for is U.S. security guarantees. But under the Trump administration, Trump has ruled out U.S. boots on the ground. He has said that the U.S. might provide air support. So what we are seeing right now is at a military level, very detailed conversations about should there be a peace deal, how would this peace deal be policed, what level of commitments there would be, and much more important, what are the obligations if Russia does not meet, attacks. Attacks not just Ukraine, but attacks Ukraine's allies. And Russia, of course, is not making it easy. So today, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov had an interview with the U.S. broadcaster NBC and said that Russia, for security guarantees, Russia wants UN Security Council members. The problem for Ukraine is that includes Russia and China. And particularly, Ukraine will not be happy if the guarantors get any sort of veto power. Which is why right now the focus is going to stay on security guarantees. And for the people, if the lessons of the past have been learned and Ukraine's future has to be secured, the guarantee has to be guaranteed.
Well, Leela, thank you very much for your insights into the complex situation there. Leela